Hi, my name is Bernard Allen, and this is my interpersonal communication project for Human Services 508 at Liberty University. First of all, I want to introduce my project to you by explaining my communication, identifying my overarching goal, explaining what enlarging the conversation means to me, discussing the influence of my background and behavioral blend, recognizing the potential barriers that are in my conversation and my communication, finding solutions for noise pollution, and finally discussing my plan of action. Communication is getting your ideas across by the process of exhaling, which is talking, and inhaling, which is listening. Stewart gives 5 features to help with this process. They are unique, immeasurable, responsive, reflective, and addressable. My overarching goal is to improve my communication abilities by engaging in more gentle responses when I'm frustrated, by being more responsive and less reactive, by hearing the talker all the way through the conversation without interferences of my perceptions and from other distractions, and also by not jumping to give advice to others either prematurely or too early. Enlarging the conversation, there's a great formula that Stewart gives, which is enlarging the conversation equals identifying needs and intentional resourcing. That equals to enlarging the conversation. Stewart gives a great word, which is nexting, to describe enlarging the conversation. And he says that putting forth additional effort to extend the conversation or enlarge the communication process to be profitable. Stickley also says that listening enables the individual to have the emotional space to discriminate one's own emotions and needs from those of another, reducing contamination and misunderstanding, which leads to listening then is not a simple skill that can be learned overnight. Hankey also says that know who you're talking to and adapt your communication style to your listener's style. My background comes from my parents. I've come to realize that most of my traits are imparted to me from them. My father has passed on the traits of being outgoing, hardworking, helpful, and hospitable. My mother has given me the more sensitive side, which is being thoughtful, encouraging, and one who enjoys the company of others. Excuse me. I've always been noted as a loyal person, and I tend to be relational, but sometimes I desire to control and decide what others should do and feel. My behavioral blend, according to Carbonell's book, the first graph is what is expected of me. I was an IS. And some of the traits there are inspiring, impressing, outgoing, encouraging, less cautious, and passive, steady, but yet submissive. And in my second graph, this is what is expected of me, or this is me, I'm sorry. I was an IDS, which gave me traits that I'm very interested in people, I'm interactive, loyal, less calculating, competitive, relational, challenging, but yet sensitive. My strengths and my uniquenesses, my strength is my strength. I am trustworthy, enthusiastic, patient, and eager to help others. With my strength and uniquenesses, I tend to have problems of people taking my kindness and my empathy as a weakness. That's something I kind of need to work on. Which brings me to my point of my walls and obstacles that I need to overcome. I'm quick to give advice, and to control others' problems. I also tend to be more reactive than responsive. I also tend to stereotype others, which cause biased listening on my part. And I also have difficulty being open and vulnerable with those who I put my trust in. So you're saying, what is the answer? The answer is using Peterson's talking listener card, which I have found to be most resourceful for me to solve some of the conflict that I have in some of my difficult discussions and conversations with peers and family. And I also want to use effective and emphatic listening to help in those difficult discussions. Stewart gives a great formula, which is the openness equals SAT. That acronym stands for self-awareness, self-acceptance, and trust. And if I can also just focus on the content of the conflict rather than the character of others, this would be more helpful. Noise pollutions are things that distract us from talking and listening to our full capabilities. Those noise pollutions can be either external or internal. External solutions can be refraining from the use of cell phones, the use of environments that promote focus, and removing all stress in stressful situations can be external solutions. Internal solutions can be listening to what the speaker is saying and not what you want to hear. Listen emphatically without making snap decisions or judgments. Or refrain from what you're going to say, refrain from thinking about what you're going to say next while you're listening. Excuse me. My plan of action that I want to put in place to reach my goals is to practice the method of the talker listening card, which Peterson says listening can be more effective and empowering way to help others try to solve their problems for them. Listening when I'm listening, responding in a way that can be understanding and emphatic to the talker's point of view, which is an example of mindful listening, and take more risk, which allow me to self-disclose myself more with others. For example, sharing my thoughts, my feelings, my ideas, and my reactions. Another plan of action of mine is using a gentler response when I'm frustrated. This will help me be more effective when enlarging the conversation. James 1:19 is a great verse that covers that. Lastly, my plan of action, taking the time to know and understand people before I make these judgments. I'm often quick to judge before I even know the person. And when I finally get to know the person, I'm like, man, why was I judging that person? Stewart gives a great paragraph in there saying that to learn to generalize less can help in those judgment situations. I want to thank you for allowing me to share my presentation, and I want to thank you for listening. My biography side will follow. Thank you.